going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning back into the channel, Cali Auto Tech. Gonna do something a little different. Maybe my first diagnostic video. I didn't see a lot of information out there on this one. That's why I wanted to make this video. Basically what I got is a 2005 Ford Mustang 4-liter V6 that, backstory, was brought to me for smog. There was no check engine light on, no previous repair history that the customer had to his knowledge. Brought it to me for the smog. So I smogged it. It failed for incomplete monitors. The O2 monitor and the O2 heater monitor were incomplete. So it was on a Friday. Customer said he would take it over the weekend. He hadn't had the battery disconnected, no work done where codes would have been cleared or anything like that he can recall. So he was gonna drive it over the weekend and bring it back to me, and we'd check to see if the monitors were complete and smog it on Monday. So came back on Monday. No, nothing has changed. Monitors were still incomplete. So he said, why don't you guys give it a try, see if you guys can get the monitors through. I do it a lot. I see it all the time where customers just don't quite get the enable criteria met to where it will run the monitors. Not necessarily on a Ford. Usually they're not too bad as far as monitors go, but my first step for this, which kind of wasted a little bit of my time, was I try to do the drive cycle myself. So I hook up that Bluetooth lemur, which is just a generic OBD2 scanner. There was no codes on that. So I did my procedure that Ford has that kind of puts it in what's called a fast pass mode. And usually the O2 monitors will run like immediately. I mean, maybe 5 minutes down the road. Those complete first, normally for me. So cleared everything out, went and did the Ford procedure that I have, and I noticed right away that the O2s were not running. The evap actually ran right over pretty quickly. EGR ran. The cat wasn't running either, so I don't know how that cleared before or what the situation was with that, but either way, the O2s weren't running and the cat wasn't running, and I had no codes at that point in time, no check engine light on, or at least with that scan tool. So I bring it back to the shop, and I'm going to start looking into like mode 6 data, things that I would normally look at just to see if there's some information I can find to point me in the right direction, where to go. And that's when I do my pre-scan that I do anytime I hook that Verus up to it, and found that I had the P1233, which is the fuel pump driver module offline or disabled. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's more than likely what's holding us up. Why it's not setting the light, I don't know. Maybe it was in there from prior stuff. So at that point in time, checked freeze frame data. I don't believe there was any set because the mill wasn't requested. I believe that's how that worked. So anyways, there was no freeze frame data. So I said, okay, well, I already cleared the codes. So before this, so this code probably reset, but either way, cleared it again, code went away with the key on the current cycle that it was on. Cycled the key, went back, code was there again. So I had a hard fault, but not setting the check engine light. And the check engine light bulb does work because that's part of the smog test, is making sure that functions properly. So, so at that point I was like, okay, here we go. Got a little bit of a strange problem here, but at least it's a path to go down. There was no information in the mode 6 the first time I checked for the O2 sensors. They had zero, everything was zero at all the values. So at that point in time, I was like, okay, well, so I know I have a hard fault, code's resetting. So first thing I do is look at a wiring diagram and get the code description information, see how the system works. So I'm gonna take you guys over to take a peek at that and explain it real quick. All right, so I don't have a stand that's this low, so I apologize for the shakiness of this, but we'll just try and do this real quick. So this is the code description and all data for the P1233. As you can see right here, we're gonna be the all others. We're not an LS or a Thunderbird. So it says the PCM monitors the fuel pump monitor or FPM circuit from the fuel pump driver module with the key on. This continually sends a duty cycle signal to the PCM through that circuit. The test fails if it stops receiving that duty cycle signal. So possible causes: inertia switch needs to be reset, open in that ground circuit, or open in the ground circuit for the module, open circuit for the power relay, open power circuit, open or shorted FPM circuit, engine should start, it's saying. That's just the diagnostic signal for it. Oop, I shouldn't have done that. It's just the diagnostic signal for that. Damaged inertia fuel shutoff switch, damaged fuel pump driver power relay, or damaged fuel pump driver module. So how that signal works is kind of described right here, the diagnostic aid. So the PCM expects to see one of the following. So there's 3 different duty cycles from that driver module on that FPM circuit. So 50%, 500 milliseconds on and off is saying everything's okay. 25%, so fuel pump driver module did not receive the duty cycle command from the PCM, or it was invalid. And then the last one is a 75% on, which is the fuel pump driver module has detected faults in the circuits between the module and the fuel pump. So that's the information I got there. And then we'll take a look at the wiring diagram to see a little bit better. So here's our module, driver module. Here's the PCM, inertia switch. Inertia switch is our main power feed to the module. And then the module is a direct control of power and ground to the fuel pump itself, which will duty cycle on and off. Here's our FPM circuit, so the circuit that's in question. This is our FPC, which is the fuel pump control. So this is the signal the PCM sends to the module based off of the rail pressure sensor, and it will tell the module, okay, we want this much on, and this will, I think, vary from like 25 to 75, I believe is what it was. Normals are on like 35%, but anyway, that's not where we're concerned with just yet, or at this point in time. Then we have our ground for the module, and then the sending unit goes to the cluster. So basically, power into the module, ground to the module. This, from what I've read, and actually I'm pretty sure I confirmed at this point, is the FPM is a voltage signal, or voltage sent out of the PCM or supplied by the PCM to the module, and then the module will ground it, controlling the duty cycle, and then the PCM monitors that to basically know if everything's okay with the fuel system, or at least the driver module, fuel pump system. So, and then the control is a voltage signal sent from the driver module to the PCM, and the PCM is going to ground that to control the duty cycle of the pump. So basically we have voltage getting sent from the PCM here and to the PCM here. So just so you guys are clear on that. So here's the scan tool. Get rid of this glare if I can. Sorry about that. That's better. So there's my code, and obviously you can see the P1000 is the monitor is incomplete. So I turn the key on real quick. We'll actually go sit in the car while I do this. I should say too, this is a manual. There is a difference in power feeds for the PCM on this, but so anyway, we're gonna clear the code. Key on, engine off. Yep, code's cleared. So now we're gonna go in memory codes. And it's not there. Cycle our key. Fuel pump, you can hear it come on. Memory codes. Of course, it doesn't set that time. Give it a second here. Start this thing up. As you can see, there's no check engine light on. And there's our code. So it's back. No check engine light on. So at that point in time, turn this off so you guys can hear me a little better. It's like, okay, well, let's just make sure fuel pressure is good. There's so many different things I found doing my research on this of strange problems. So I go in my data, just checking the basics first. And one thing I learned is that this would probably have been a much quicker diagnosis if Ford had one extra pit in there for us, but oh well. They supposedly have it in some scan tools, but I don't think I saw it on the IDS or the 4Scan. So we're gonna just select my fuel pump pressure just get all my fuel stuff. I don't really need all of it, but list view. Trying to get that focused. There we go. So as you can see, its desired is 50. We're at 45, key on, engine off. 75, I think, is actually the command signal. It's telling the fuel pump driver module to turn off, so not to be on. Fire it up. See, we're about 25% duty cycle. That's the actual command from the PCM to the driver module of how much it wants. And you can see our desired and actual match. Everything looked good. I went ahead and went in here, functional tests. I know a lot of you guys are probably going to say, why are you even doing this at the end of the video? But this was a weird one, so I just wanted to make sure I covered all my bases. So I got to change the list because this one is silly. You go to a fuel pump on off and it doesn't have pressure on it. So we'll just watch pressure here, duty cycle, desired. So there's our pressure, and I'm turning it on, going full balls, and we're at 75 PSI if you guys can see that. So, and the way the fuel pump control works is it's 2 to 1, so it's a step up. So when the computer is sending a 50% duty cycle, it's actually 100%. It's kind of an interesting thing, but that's how that works. So turn this off now, and we're going to go back to the scope. So just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of how the scope is going to be set up. So I'm going to have channel A is going to be our power into the module. Channel B is going to be our ground, and then I'll have to let you know, I believe it's the monitor circuit's going to be channel C, and then D should be our fuel pump command. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Cut out some of that. Scoped at the fuel pump module, which is located in the trunk near the spare tire. And here's my sorry display of a screen record, because I don't know how to do that yet. Anywho, so scope set up. Let's fire this puppy up and see what it looks like. All right, start recording up. And as you can see, we've got our power feed into the module that is battery voltage. So we're at about 14.4. Our ground right at about 0. See that line there? And then we have our channel D is the fuel pump command to the module. And then this is our feedback to the PCM saying everything's good. So where I went here, I'm gonna shut this off. This key on, engine off like that. So where I went here was the FPM was going to be 500 milliseconds on and off for an OK circuit. So I put one there, put my ruler here, put my other ruler there, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but right at about 500 milliseconds. So I'm like, okay, so the fuel pump driver is telling the PCM everything's all good. Why am I setting this code? So I know my power is good. I know my ground is good. I went ahead just because I'm weird. I thought it was a weird problem. I was like, let me just load test the power and ground to this circuit just to make sure. So I did that. Those tested fine. So at that point in time, I knew my power to the module is good. I know my ground is good. They can carry load. I'm not too concerned with the control circuit because there's no drivability. I don't know if I mentioned that before. There's zero drivability concern in this. So we'll get rid of that. We know these are good, but this is where I was at. So I then went up to the PCM to check my white with a red tracer wire to confirm that I had a similar signal there. So let me lower the scaling down. Oop. And you can see we have the 50% duty cycle here still, and amplitude is roughly about 700 millivolts. Let me see if I can get that. There we go. 700 millivolts is my peak voltage on that. So this is where I got a little lost, I guess, because of the lack of information. So I tried to find known goods. I wasn't really able to find any. So I reached out to this group that I'm in of guys that are some really, really stand-up dudes. So shout out to Diagnostic Dennis, Winkler, and Kyle. I actually posted this on a Facebook group. I should have posted my scope captures I had. I think that's why I didn't get too much of a response on there, so I apologize for that. But they actually saw the post and said, hey man, what's going on? Why, first of all, why didn't you hit us up and let us put our brains together? The very, very first thing Winkler, Chris, saw was he was concerned with the amplitude of this signal. So now we're scouring the internet trying to find a known good waveform. Had one on Scanner Danner's video, but it was a different year, so not positive, and some of it was kind of different. And there are some videos out there that's at this point in time say, if everything tests good and you have this code and there's no drivability symptoms, throw a fuel pump driver module on it. That's the only thing that's left, and it's not the case, because I'll be honest with you guys. My boss said, when I got to this point, before I talked to my buddies, was they got a module at Napa. Let's see if it works. Let's try it just to see, because this is weird, and I don't want to spin our wheels chasing something that's just an easy thing. So I said, okay, what can it hurt? It's not hard to replace. So we put a new one in it with no change. Exact same symptoms. It was a dormant part, but exact same symptoms. Code sets right away, and I have this duty cycle. So we put our heads together, like I said, and we wanted to make sure that that was the incorrect amplitude for it. So meaning that the amount of voltage should have been more. So the supply voltage is low, or something's pulling this circuit down a little bit. So putting our heads together, and we finally got to it after looking at it and said, you know what, that's got to be wrong. That can't be right. So I'm sitting at home talking with these guys, and I couldn't wait till the next day. I came up here. What I did was start this recording again, get these out of here. We know these are good, so we can get rid of these. Change our amplitude. So now we can see it's at 0.7, 0.8-ish volts. So I disconnected the module and saw what I wanted to see what the voltage was disconnected. So as we can see, it's right at that 700 millivolt range. You can see right there. So okay, now next step is let's go up to the PCM and see the PCM's in charge of supplying this voltage. What's it doing up there? So let's go back up there. So we're gonna back probe this guy again. Could have just left this in there. And you can see right at that 700 millivolts flat line. So we want to make sure that there isn't something pulling that down. I checked continuity to power and ground and load test wire. Like I said, there's with that connector connected, no shorts. So we just want to make sure. Something that's overlooked a lot, I used to do it myself a lot, is if there's something that is only grounded or only is supplied voltage by the PCM, you only see it with it connected. So some people might cut the wire. I didn't really have a lot of room to work with there, so I figured de-pinning it would be the best. So we'll do that next. I also want to check pin tension as well. So we're going to pull this guy out. Got our connector here. And get my lovely AES wave kit. We're gonna check this for pin tension. So we are pin 21, red, white, which will be 3 over on this circuit here. Oop. Pin tension is good. There is some drag. So I know my pin tension's good. So now I'm going to depin this, and then we're going to back probe through that and make sure that that is what's coming out of the PCM. And be careful doing this. You don't want to damage anything. There are special depinning tools I would highly recommend getting if you are planning on, because there's a little, this is my tool I got. There's a little retainer, I don't know if you guys can see it all, but there's a retainer right on top of it that needs to just be pulled up. All right, so pin is out of the PCM, if you guys can see that. Yep, there we go. Now we're gonna plug this guy back in. And we're going to very gently and carefully slide our back probe in here just to make contact with the pin. So here you can see, set this guy right here. So you see we're flatlined right now. Slide this guy in there and you can see it just shot up. So the PCM is sending out that amount of voltage. So confirmed with a couple other known goods. I actually had an 05 Ford F-150 roll through the door. And confirmed that this signal is supposed to be a 12-volt square wave. And it never changes unless there's a problem with the fuel pump side of the driver module or the signal sent on the control. So this is always 50% no matter what the pump is doing, unless there's an issue. So at this point in time, I'm confident that there's an issue with the PCM. So I load tested all the powers and grounds to it. They all tested fine. I then called my computer supplier because there is none of these available through the dealer. So Ford has the fuel pump driver module and the PCM national back order. So we called our guys that we use to repair, and he talked to me and just quizzed me where I was doing my testing and what I saw at that point in time. Once he knew that testing was done properly, he then told me that this is a common problem. He sees a lot of PCMs that get repaired due to the incomplete monitors. The monitor's never running, the O2 and the heater specifically. But then he also has seen this problem before. So makes you even all more warm and fuzzy inside when the guy that's working on these things tells you, yeah, you're on the right path, you did everything right, and I've done this before. I've been here before. I needed to hear that because I think Winkler probably lost more sleep than I did waiting for this. These guys, man, they're a blessing. They were really working hard. Ooh, you can see a little blip there of voltage shooting up. That was kind of cool. Boop. Anyway, PCM's on its way. I'm got to get it programmed, and then I will do a update on this. Oh, wow. Look at this. This is actually new. These little voltage spikes. That's kind of cool. That's straight out of the PCM. That's nothing else externally affecting that at all. And you can see it moving all over the place. That's cool. So that's a little addition. Whoop, whoop. Anyway, so PCM's on its way. I should have it next week. I'm going to finish this video and post it on Friday. once the repair's all said and done and confirmed. So yeah, more voltage spikes and randomness there. This is cool. All right, thanks guys. All right, got the Pico hooked up. We'll see here in a second. Yeah, boy. There's our power. That's our command. Here's our 12-volt signal right here. Now let's go see if we get these monitors to clear. All right, guys. So we're getting set up to get into hopefully the fast pass mode here. Sorry about the beeping. Yee. And engine, just to make sure. We've already cycled the key several times, but there's code is not in there. We're gonna go ahead and do the codes. Set up for drive cycle here. And if you remember, we would need these, the O2 and the O2 heater to run. So, custom, deselect. Yep. Finger ain't working right now. Alright, so see everybody's not complete. Get back with you guys once I get these going. Alright, moment of truth. Wow, look at that. What are those? All completed, baby. Let's call this one a fix. Let's go back, because we did have a phantom code that did not want to set the light, but was always resetting. So let's just make sure that's for sure gone. No codes. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the case study. This isn't meant to be a silver bullet by any means, but I just wanted to bring some light to two common problems that these Mustangs have. And then obviously the biggest takeaway from this is gonna be known good waveforms and networking. So thanks to Chris, Dennis, and Kyle for the help on this one. And thanks to you guys. So if you can, click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification, get notified for awesome videos like this, and comment down below. Tell me what you think. Is there something you could have done or you would have done differently to be more efficient on this? Let me know. Thanks, guys.